Alhamdulillah. All praise and all thanks is due to Allah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره. We praise Him and we thank Him, and at the same time we beg His guidance and His forgiveness. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. And we seek refuge and protection with Him. Protection from the evil of our own souls. Protection from the consequences that come with those evil decisions that we might make. The filth of our own souls, our poor decisions, the wrong that we do, the lies that we tell, when we touch or take that which didn't belong to us, when we look at what we had no business looking at, when we speak when we should have been silent, when we speak when we should have been silent, and when we don't speak when we should have. And all of that, they have consequences. And all of that has a price. All of those have a ticket that we will have to answer for in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that ticket and those prices, that price tag, is far too hefty for any of us to pay. And it's for this reason that every Jumu'ah you hear me on this minbar, or you hear the khatib say, وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ شُرُورِ أَنفُسِنَا وَمِنْ سَيِّئَاتِ أَعْمَالِنَا. That we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the consequences of our poor decisions that only hurt ourselves. فَيَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ. And of course, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides from His mercy, from His compassion, from His love, they know for sure, brothers and sisters, whoever He has this written for, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has it written down in His Lawh al-Mahfuz, whoever had it written down for them at the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but written by the angels, that they would be happy, that they would be sa'id, and not shaqi, then no, brothers and sisters, no one can misguide this person. No one can truly, in its truest essence, go against and harm this person. Know for sure that they will never be misguided, no matter what happens to them. No matter what our eyes see, no matter what the physical reality tells us, ultimately, these people are guided, which is the only thing that truly matters on Yawm al-Qiyamah. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, that your children and your money will not avail you on the day of judgment when you stand in front of Allah. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Except for the person who has a pure, serene, clean, guided heart. So once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has that for someone, no one can change that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst them. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written that they are to not be guided from His justice and from His wisdom, not because He's unfair, not because He's unjust, but rather because of something that is in their hearts, because of their choices, because of what is something going on inside of them, no matter what you bring to them, no matter what facts, no matter what information, no matter what you show them that is congruent and in line with reality, no matter what you explain to them, no matter how many ayat, whether it is in the heavens, whether it is fi anfusihim, it does not matter. There's no one who can guide this person. Once that sickness has crept into them, of arrogance, of them thinking they are better, that they are wiser, that they are more intelligent, that they are more powerful, that they are more wealthy, that they can do whatever they want, that they can act out of impunity, that. وَأَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ. And I testify before all of you to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His lordship, that he is the only one who is al-Khaliq, that he is the only one who is al-Raziq, al-Malik, al-Mudabbir, that he is the only creator and he creates from nothing. He merely says kun, fayakun, he says be, and it is. No one else can claim this. And as such, since he made and created everything, it makes sense and it follows reasoning that he is the owner of everything and Malik. That all of it belongs to him, since he's the one who made it. And since he's the only one who created it and made it, and he is the sovereign owner of everything, then of course, then it all needs him. It all relies on him for their provisions, for their needs to be taken care of. So he is Ar-Raziq, or Ar-Razzaq, the provider of all that exists. And if he's the one who is providing for everything, he owns everything, he made everything, then know for sure, brothers and sisters, all of the systems that you see in place, whether it's the planets in their orbit, whether it is the planet Earth on its axis, whether it is the water cycle, whether it's bringing rain, whether it is the vegetation and the seasons and the sun, bringing sunlight to the plants, photosynthesis, the plants breathing out oxygen, us breathing out carbon dioxide, and there the synergy and the relationship between that, all of those systems, your body, your need for sleep, your need for food, and your body relying on those systems, men and women coming together to produce children by the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those systems, Allah is the one who created those systems, and He is the one who maintains them. He is al-Mudabbir. And as such, I stand in front of all of you testifying that He is the only one who does this. And if we testify to this, then it only makes sense that we also testify that He is the only one who deserves to be worshipped. Because He's the only one who can help you in your time of dire need. When you are desperate, when you are hungry, when you are thirsty, when you are misguided, when you are naked, when you have no shelter. And so as such, we only fast for Him, we only pray to Him, we only sacrifice for Him. All acts of worship. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, in summary, in brief, what we should say, what we should believe, what we should proclaim, what we should practice in our day-to-day living. Say that my prayers, my sacrifices, my living, even my death, is for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. La sharika lah, and He has no partners in this. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ, and this is what I have been commanded, every single one of us, and all of mankind. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ. All of us have been commanded with this. وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and I am at the vanguard of those who submit to Him. And I further testify that Prophet Muhammad is His servant and final messenger. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أَدَّى الْأَمَانَةَ وَنَصَحَ الْأُمَّةَ وَجَاهَدَ فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ الْجِهَادِ. وصلوات الله والسلام عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. And I further testify that he fulfilled the trust, the amana, and the responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted him with to convey the message of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That he advised, that he exhorted, that he taught, that he exemplified for his ummah and to his ummah. What does it mean to surrender, submit, and serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a manner that is pleasing to Him? To come to Him truly in submission and worship of Him. And that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not only did he exemplify this and leave behind an exemplary and beautiful legacy, but that he fought, that he strove, that he struggled, blood, sweat, and tears, with his tongue and the sword to convey that message for the sake of Allah and purely and only for him. Not for his tribe, not for the Arabs, not for any other reason other than for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For him and him alone. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who believe, be mindful of Allah. Be conscious of Him. Be aware of Him. The fear, the consciousness, and the awareness that He is deserving of you. And don't you ever dare die except in the state, except in the condition that you are in a state of submission and surrender, and you have up your white flag for none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only possible way that this could ever happen is that you live every year, every moment, every day, every month, every second in that state. Surrendering to Allah, giving up to Allah. Being a Muslim, one who surrenders. Being a mu'min, one who truly believes in his oneness. In the day of judgment, that there will be an accounting and a reckoning for everything that happens. Even if it seems like they've gotten away with it. Even if it seems like no one's holding them accountable. Know for sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold everyone accountable. And so if you are one who believes like this every moment and every day, that when the angel of death comes knocking, it is hoped, perhaps, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when that appointed time comes, you will be in a state of submission and surrender. Because none of us know when that appointment is. The angel of death himself is unaware. He is simply waiting for Allah to send him the itinerary. That's it. He does not know when the time comes. But surrender to Allah at all times, truly, genuinely. Not simply in your mode of dress and wearing a khamis. And not simply just covering your hair. And not simply just growing a beard. Although those are all manifestations of surrender and submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in different ways. But truly, genuinely in your heart and in yourself. Surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in doing so, perhaps when that angel of death comes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us in that day, in that moment, that it will be in a manner that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, it is narrated by Usama bin Zayd, one of the noble companions of the Prophet ﷺ, where he tells us something very interesting about the Prophet ﷺ. And inshallah, I want to share this hadith with you, bi'idhnillah, and just to talk about this one hadith, inshallah ta'ala. It's collected in Muslim Imam Ahmed, in An-Nasa'i, or Sunan An-Nasa'i, and it says, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصوم الأيام يسرد حتى نقول لا يفطر ويفطر الأيام حتى لا يكاد يصوم إلا يومين من الجمعة إن كان في صيامه وإلا صامهما ولم يكن يصوم من شهور ما يصوم من شعبان. فقلت يا رسول الله إنك تصوم لا تكاد تفطر وتفطر حتى لا تكاد تصوم إلا يومين إن دخل في صيامك وإلا صمتهما. قال أي يومين؟ قال يوم الاثنين ويوم الخميس. قال ذلك يومان تعرض فيهما الأعمال على رب العالمين وأحب أن يعرض عملي وأنا صائم. قلت ولم أرك تصوم من الشهور ما تصوم من شعبان. قال ذاك شهر يغفل الناس عنه بين رجب ورمضان وهو شهر ترفع فيه الأعمال إلى رب العالمين عز وجل فأحب أن يرفع عملي وأنا صائم. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. I say what I say first and foremost for myself, and then for all of you. And I beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness, and I exhort and I remind all of you to do the same. Indeed, He is the oft forgiving and the especially merciful. الحمد لله وحده وكفاه وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم ثم أما بعد. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, the hadith I just mentioned to you, that's narrated by Usama bin Zayd radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, is a very important hadith related to the time that we're in right now, the month of Sha'ban. In this hadith, we see that Usama bin Zayd, he mentions that the Prophet ﷺ, that he used to fast some days, so much so that it seems that he was continually fasting until it would seem like he fasts every single day. And then there comes times where the Prophet ﷺ didn't fast, and it would seem that, subhanAllah, it seems like he doesn't fast at all. And then he goes on to point out to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that there are some days, O Messenger of Allah, that I can't help but notice they do not pass you by except that you fast them. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, which days are you talking about? And he said, those days are Yawm al-Ithnain or Yawm al-Khamis. Those days are Mondays and Thursdays. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he responded as to why he does that. Why is it that he had the habit? Why is it that he consistently, every Monday and Thursday, would fast? He said those days are the times that the deeds of a servant are shown and presented to the Lord of the worlds. And he said, and I love, while my deeds, my actions, what I have done and what I've committed on the face of this earth, when it's being presented to Allah, that I am in a state of fasting, that I am thirsty, that I am hungry, that I have abstained from and disciplined myself from enjoying intimacy with my spouse. Not because I had to, but because I want to be in a state of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so I love to be fasting when that happens. And then he says, well, what about this time of the month, the month that you are fasting, and it seems like you're fasting that month a tremendous amount. So the Prophet said, which month are you? Oh, which one do you think? Which one are you asking about? And he said, the month of Sha'ban. And then again, the Prophet mentions. But he adds something slightly different from the Monday and Thursday. He says that is a time when a great deal of people are neglectful, they overlook, they're not paying attention. It is a time that is between Rajab wa Ramadan, which is the time that we're in right now, brothers and sisters, the month of Sha'ban. And he said that's a time that a bunch of people don't pay attention to it. They're busy with other things. They're focused on other things. They're looking at other things. But they're not paying attention to this month. So he said during that time, also, my deeds are being raised to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I love to be in a state of fasting when my deeds are being raised and shown to the Lord of the heavens and earth. And so, my beloved brothers and sisters, there are numerous benefits and takeaways that we can take from this hadith. One of the first things that we notice is the diligence and the care and concern that the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim had in following the example and the habits and the legacy of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is one of the things that made them distinct and stand out, and what gave them victory in seemingly impossible odds. Because of the care and concern that they had about following, watching, observing, and then following that up with emulating and practicing and following in the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This was one of the greatest means and causes for the success of the Sahaba, and them being promised paradise by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His glorious book. Because if you look at it, Usama bin Zayd is breaking down the habit of the Prophet ﷺ the entire year. Look at this time you fast like this, at these times you don't seem to fast, on these days you fast like this, and in this month you fast like this. Look at the care and the concern and the detailed oriented way that Usama bin Zayd was observing, and not simply just so that he can say that he knows things about Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but so that he himself could practice. This is a lesson that we can learn ourselves, brothers and sisters. And then number 2 that I want to point out from this hadith is the month of Sha'ban being the time that is neglected by many people. And there are numerous reasons for this. Part of it is because Rajab is from the Ashhurul Hurum. It is from the sacred months, the inviolable months, the holy months. So Rajab is a time that many people single out and look at and are trying to look for good deeds, so on and so forth, because it's an inviolable month. And then, just after that, 2 months later is the month of Ramadan, which we all know to be the month of fasting, the month of Quran, the month of Ibadah, the month of Itq min al-Nar, release and amnesty and freedom from the hellfire. And so that sandwich in between these 2 virtuous months that are virtuous to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Sha'ban. And so a lot of people are caught up, whether it be for righteous reasons or because of the dunya and living life. And I'm busy. And inshallah, I'll think about it when I get to Ramadan. But before that, no. And so subhanallah, the second thing that I want to point out, brothers and sisters, is that the month of Sha'ban is an opportunity and a time to stand out, to be distinct, and a time to shine when everyone else is thinking about and doing other things. And there are numerous examples, brothers and sisters, in the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where times where people are neglectful, heedless, not paying attention, and of course when we say heedless, neglectful, we mean of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it is an opportunity to gain and earn a badge of honor and distinction. For example, one of the most virtuous prayers that you could ever pray after the 5 daily prayers is which prayer? Everyone knows. Salatul Tahajjud. The night prayer. Because of course, why is it distinct? Why is it so virtuous? Why is it so blessed? Why is it so spiritual? And such a time that is beloved to the Prophet ﷺ, beloved to Allah Azza wa Jal, and a time that is distinct. Right? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said what? Sallu bil-layli wan-nasu. Yeah. Because everybody's sleeping. Your wife is sleeping, your husband is sleeping, the kids, everybody. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, you wake up. And you could have been asleep. You didn't have to. It's not wajib. But you want to stand out. You want to shine. And so you do what? You get up in that cold water. Rinse out your mouth. You wash your face. And you make wudu. It's 2 rak'ah. And who knows about it? You're doing it all by yourself. Nobody knows. And so it's one of those times to shine. To be distinct. To say, here I am, O Allah. I'm here. I want your forgiveness. I want your mercy. I want your love. I want to be close to you. I want a real relationship with you, O Allah. I want to stand out. And if you look at, we say fasting Mondays and Thursdays. Again, you don't have to. It's not wajib. But fasting Mondays and Thursdays, Monday for us is the beginning of the week. Everybody's thinking about work. Everybody's thinking about, I got to start the beginning of the week again. That's what everybody's mind is on. And it's not haram, it's not wrong, but here you come. Even though you have the same responsibilities, you have the same things that have to be done, you have the same things that have to be taken care of, and yet you don't allow that to distract you from your true purpose, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another example, when you go to the market, one of the most beautiful du'as and one of the opportunities to be distinct and to stand out from everyone else is when you go to the market. Imagine you go to Target. Imagine you go to Mall of America. Imagine you go to the store, and when you step in, what's everybody thinking about when you go to the store? And it's normal. Obviously, it's not haram, it's not wrong, it's not bad, but they're thinking about either you're a seller, it's your store, and you're thinking about your profit margins, your employees, how you're going to make money, discounts, sales, how we're going to stockholders, etc. That's what you're thinking about. Or you're a customer, and you're thinking about what you got to buy, how you're going to save money, I got to spend this money, etc. That's what everybody's thinking. So the Prophet ﷺ says, there's a dua that you make when you first step into the store, when you first step into the market. La ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd, yuhyi wa yumeet, wa huwa hayyun la yamut, biyadihi al-khayr, wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allahu Akbar. You got the same responsibilities, you have the same things that you have to do like everybody else, and yet the first thing you do when you step in the store is proclaim the oneness of Allah. La ilaha illallah. It's more important than all this stuff. I gotta do it. وَلَا تَنْسَى نَصِيبَكُم مِّنَ الدُّنْيَا. I still gotta do it too, but I'm not forgetting why I'm really here. I'm here, oh Allah. I didn't forget you. I don't know about these other people, the other ones who are doing things, but me, I didn't forget you. It's your time and your opportunity to shine. Then he goes on. So we said the second thing, or the second lesson, brothers and sisters, it's a time that people neglect, but it's a time and opportunity for you to be distinct, to stand out, and your chance to shine with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then thirdly, brothers and sisters, is okay. If that's an opportunity and a time to shine and a time to stand out, what should we be doing in this time? What did Usama bin Zayd, radiallahu ta'ala, what did he point out? That the Prophet fasted a tremendous amount or a great deal. There are other narrations and other ahadith that are narrated by Aisha and Anas ibn Malik and others, Ibn Abbas, where they said the Prophet ﷺ never fasted a month in its entirety, illa Ramadan, except for Ramadan. But he didn't fast more so than any other month outside of Ramadan than he did in the month of Sha'ban. And so Sha'ban, brothers and sisters, is a month of fasting. Why? Why is it a month of fasting? What is the benefit here? Well, brothers and sisters, as we know, Ramadan is coming up. And Ramadan is, right, the month that we're supposed to be fasting. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُم. We all know this. We hear it every Ramadan or prior to every Ramadan and then during Ramadan that fasting is an obligation of the Muslims. It's one of the pillars of Islam. It's one of the things that distinguishes Muslims and makes them distinct and stand out from others. But what does it mean about fasting in Sha'ban? Brothers and sisters, Sha'ban is preparation for Ramadan. Sha'ban is a time for you to prepare your nafs, to prepare your soul, to prepare your mind, and to prepare your life, your work, your schedule, your habits, and to get ready for Ramadan. This is what we should be thinking about in the month of Sha'ban, is that it's preparation for Ramadan. Think of it like an athlete. Anybody who's ever played soccer on a team, anybody who's ever been a fighter, if you box or what have you, anybody who's ever played football, you know, before you step into the stadium, before you step into the ring, before you go shine in those shiny lights that are bearing down on you, before all of that, before your opponent is in front of you, and he's ready to go, or they're ready to go, what are you doing? Days before, months before. Practice, 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 preparing, getting ready. So that once you finally do step into the ring, or you do step in the stadium, or on the field, you're prepared and ready to go. And it's like second nature, and it's like easy. So clearly, this is what we want. That we want to prepare for the month of Ramadan. Allahumma balighna Ramadan. So clearly, so what are some takeaways before we make dua? Brothers and sisters, we said that what? Month of Sha'ban, the month of Sha'ban is a neglectful time, or that people neglect. Make it your time to shine. to be stand down and to be distinct. Number two, brothers and sisters, how can we be distinct and how can we stand down? Take it as a time and an opportunity this entire month to fast as much as you can. Now that might look different from person to person. You fast as much as you can, as much as you possibly want to. If you can't, then Mondays and Thursdays. And if you can't, then at least the ayam would be the white days, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. But fast. Make the commitment, make the intention right now that you are going to try to fast as much as possible so that you can get your mind ready, your spirit ready, your nuts ready, your heart ready, so that when Ramadan comes, it will be easy. And I would advise you to try to do that with your family, your spouses. And as a side note, if you have any missed days from last Ramadan, you want to do that now. Make sure that you make it up so that it's done with. Whatever debt that you have in regards to fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you finish in before Ramadan. The second thing is that also, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, I almost forgot to mention, is that some of the tabi'een and the atba' tabi'een used to call this month Sha'ban, Shahrul Qurra, the month of the reciters. Because we know that the month of Ramadan is what? Shahrul Ramadan, alladhi unzila fihi Quran. We know that Ramadan is the month of the Quran. But those who want to be distinct, those who want to stand out and have a special relationship with the Quran, they're reading a tremendous and an abundant amount in Sha'ban. So practically for you and me, brothers and sisters, what can we do? Is if you are trying to have a khatam in Ramadan, take half of that and try to do that in Sha'ban. But have and start the habit and the relationship with the Quran now. And then lastly, brothers and sisters, it's not mentioned in this hadith, but something that is also distinct about Sha'ban is it's one of the few, if not the only hadith that is considered authentic with relation to the month of Sha'ban. All other hadith are considered weak or mawdu' or outright fabricated. But there is one that some scholars say is at the least hasan, which is a good hadith. And it mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Sha'ban, or the 15th of Sha'ban, that He gives forgiveness for all of His servants, except for two. The one who associates partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know this to be the antithesis of Islam, the opposite of Tawheed, one to associate partners with Allah. And this one, we know more than that. But the one that many Muslims fall into is the mushahin, the one who has hatred, the one who has acrimony, the one who has enmity and animosity to their brothers and sisters. So the last thing I want to say is that you forgive and pardon and overlook your families, your friends, brothers and sisters that are in your life. Don't wait for them to call you. Don't say, well, I'm the older brother, or that I'm the mom, or I'm the dad, or they should have called me, or I'm the one. It was that brother's fault, not mine. How come I got to go to him? This is not how you want to think. You want the mercy of Allah? Then be merciful to others. You want the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Then be loving and compassionate to others. But forgive them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, the one who's a mushrik, we know. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. That one, khalas, there is no forgiveness for them. But the one who's mushahin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, hold on, don't forgive them yet. Look at these two, right? And wait hatta yasliha, until they reconcile between themselves. Until they work it out and forgive one another. And this is what we want to have as we go into the month of Ramadan. Oh Allah, we ask you to allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين ودمر اعداء الدين يا رب العالمين يا القوي العزيز اللهم رد كيدهم في نحورهم يا ذا الجلال والاكرام. Oh Allah, we ask you to give honor and dignity to Islam and the Muslims. Oh Allah, we ask you by your most excellent names and your beautiful attributes. Oh the mighty, oh the powerful, we ask you to fend off the enemies of Islam and those who wish harm and ill will to the Muslims. Oh Allah, grant ease and steadfastness for our brothers and sisters in Gaza and in Palestine. Oh Allah, grant ease and ease for our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and grant them strength and steadfastness. Oh Allah, grant their dead martyrdom and mercy, and enter them into your good graces and continence. Ya Dal Jalali wal Ikram. Oh Allah, we ask you, you who are the one who cures all and heals the sicknesses. Oh Allah, we ask you to cure and heal their sick and their wounded, with that leaves no trace of sickness and harm. Ya Dal Jalali wal Ikram. Oh Allah, grant steadfastness and the strength of will for those who have been left behind to continue to move forward. Oh Allah, we ask you to unite the ranks of those who fight in your cause for La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Oh Allah, we ask you for the honor to see Al-Aqsa in the land of the Muslims to be returned to the hands of the Muslims. Ya Al-Qawi Al-Aziz. Oh Allah, we ask you to enlighten and guide the leadership of the Muslims, to aid and to support and serve the Muslims and Islam. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, we ask you to alleviate the suffering, the difficulties of our brothers and sisters in Sudan, and our brothers and sisters in Somalia, and all of those who fight for your cause and for La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Allahumma ati nufusana taqwaha wa zakiha anta khayru man zakkaha wa anta waliyuha wa mawlaha ya Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqa warzuqna ittiba'ah. Allahumma arina al-batila batila warzuqna ijtinabah. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa aqimus salat.
الله أكبر الله